What up, y'all? We are back with The Hired Gun. I'm your host, Machete Eddie. This is going to be episode lucky number 13, wrapping up my tour stories, which was my initial reason for doing this whole thing. The good news is I'm not going to stop with The Hired Gun. I'm going to continue it. So I'll probably reference it every episode. Like, be sure and watch the first 13 episodes so you know how I got the name and what it's all about. But I started a different podcast called the What a Blast podcast. And on that one, I'm going to have guests. And then on this one, it'll be just me. So that'll kind of be the difference between the two. What a Blast podcast, discuss stuff with other people. Hired Gun, I'll just vent about different stuff. I'll be able to go into detail about each of these stories, I guess, which will be cool. And I'll just talk about whatever's going on, whatever shows I have coming up, and all that kind of stuff. So, I also don't want to spend too much time on this episode talking about what I was talking about on the other episodes. If you're watching this episode, I really need you to check out the other episodes so you understand the gist of how everything was going down. All right. On that note, I left off, I was Summer Slaughter. So I'm playing with Vital Remains. This is 2010. Decapitated was headlining. The Faceless was playing on it. So it was like a whole month. The Red Chord, Carnifex, Animals as leaders, Decrepit Birth, Cephalic Carnage. It really was a dream come true. So I know that there's a Metal Injection interview that I'm in. And they were basically in this green room. It's like smoked out. They're right in front of this door. It's pretty much like the room in between rooms to like get in and out of backstage to, the show or whatever. So during the course of this 20-minute interview or whatever, I think it's the dude from the Red Chord, one of the guys, along with the whoever was the host of Metal Injection at the time. So they're there, and every just like 30 seconds, there's Terrence Hobbs from Suffocation, me. I don't really remember. I have to rewatch it, but it was just like tons of just people, like famous people from the scene. It's pretty fucking hilarious, honestly. But that was a cool thing to happen on that. I think it was the same night, maybe not, because I feel like that was like New York or something. Well, Maryland, because I know there was a show in Maryland. It was one of like the worst shows I ever played. And there's a Metal Injection music video, like multi-angle. It's like kind of kick ass, but the audio is like pretty bad. You just hear like kick drums really fucking loud, like a typewriter. Everything else is real muffled. And I remember I was having trigger issues, which ended up being, I think this was that occasion, what I would normally plug in as a left kick drum, right kick drum, I was swapping them because I didn't think it mattered. And it was like causing it to misfire, and I couldn't figure out why. And eventually I just plugged them back the other way, and it worked. But I remember on this night, I just couldn't, it's quick. There's like a 10-minute. Well, I guess we do go on first, but I want to say maybe this day there was like a band before us. But you got to get on real quick, and the set's only like 12 minutes or something like that because there's so many bands. But yeah, for whatever reason, it was time for the play, and my triggers weren't really kicking right. So I had to just kind of go like kind of slow. However fast I could go without the triggers double firing or whatever. So I'm kind of doing the blast, and like double bass kind of sucks, and that's like all you fucking hear on the video. So I do kind of suck on that video. So everybody's talking shit. It's the worst video of me on the internet, and I'm surprised I'm even talking about it because I'm pretty self-conscious about it. So that, yeah, I remember those couple things. Let's see here. One of the shows that jumps out is the Fort Lauderdale show. So that's the only time I've ever been that far south in Florida. And I remember it being a pretty good show. I remember kind of just walking uh, down the line of people waiting to get in and talking to three dudes for like a good while because they all had like cool shirts on. I remember one of them had a Psychroptic shirt. Maybe it was like Spawn and Possession or something, but it was cool bands. They were young, but I was like, hey, these guys look cool. And I remember talking to them for a while. And then I met Paul and Jamie. They have a band called Chum now. And they're from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Kind of a grindcore band. So these guys are like, I've known them they've supported me from then, 2010 to now. So I'm happy to see them doing their own thing. But they've been real big into movies and special effects and all that. And they just had a music video drop where they did everything. It's like super gory and awesome. And BBL, I think it was the name of the song. Definitely check it out. Chum, BBL, good stuff. Check it out. So I remember meeting them. There's footage of this that I just put together. I kind of took some different shows that I found on YouTube and kind of pasted it together. So if you look up on my page, there's like a Vital Remains video. I don't remember what I labeled it. Maybe I just said Fort Lauderdale, but you should see it, and it's pretty cool. So it was a good show. I feel like I was having lots of pedal issues. Like I had the whole time I think the springs were shot in the axis that I was using. And then one of the little rubber stoppers that keeps the pedal tight, like on the kick drum, was missing. So I had to keep using like water bottle caps. I would jam it up in there, and it still kind of made it kind of sideways. So I just kind of had to like make do. It really did suck, but made it happen. Let's see, how far are we? We're doing good. I have lots of memories from this tour. I'm gonna try to move along as quickly as I can, but so Tosin from Animals as Leaders, he's like super famous now. He's one of the most famous shredding guitar players in the scene. This 2010, I didn't know who he was. I want to say this is the first tour that they had. Naveen was on drums. I wanted to say it was their merch guy. I think he was like kind of an Asian dude or something. But on the last show, which was in North Carolina, I want to say. No. I don't know where it was at. San Francisco, I think. It doesn't really matter though. But wherever the last show was, the red chord is going on, and I can't remember the name of the song, but there's a classic line where it's like, "It's not gonna be all right. It's not gonna be okay." It's like a super hardcore chanting shit, and super cheesy, but like it's one of their biggest hits. And so Tosin comes out with that guy, and he's like, "It's not gonna." I mean, it's hilarious. Like everyone's just like, "Holy shit!" And then Eddie from All Shall Perish, he's the singer for Suicide Silence now. He comes out and depantses the merch guy while he's singing, and I just remember it being like a holy fucking shit moment, dude. And I wish there was footage of it. I've searched for it because that was just what a hilarious moment to me, at least. So that same day, obviously we all play, everyone's done. The last day of tour is always kind of sad. I never liked goodbyes. But so Decapited's playing. It's their last song. They're playing Spheres of Madness, which is their biggest hit. And it was San Francisco because Sick Drummer was there, and that guy had like a bag full of just rolled up joints. So he really wanted everybody to just roll up on the stage smoking joints, and I was like, I don't know. But so yeah, I just remember that in correlation. But basically, all the members of the band came up on stage and like kind of rocked out to Spheres of Madness, and super epic, awesome moment. So I do remember that. That was very, very cool. That was gonna wrap up. Yeah, see, boom, bam, Summer Slaughter, Spheres of Madness. That pretty much wraps up the majority of that tour. And I'll probably talk, like I said, future episodes, I'll talk more in depth about certain little things. But I just want to move along. So I made it through another tour. If you've been following along, you know that probably the last 3 tours, it's been like, man, I don't think I can handle this anymore. And then it'll be like some crazy, it was pestilence, and we're like, oh shit, Then things were rough, and I'm like, okay, I can't. We broke down several times and butted heads about, getting paid here and there or whatever, among other things. And then so I'm like, okay, I'm definitely done. And then Summer Slaughter gets mentioned, and I'm like, fuck, gotta do Summer Slaughter. That's like the realest shit ever. I remember one thing that sucked about that was I had a something booked with Incinerate that it had been booked for forever. I want to say shit. What was that called? It escapes me at the moment. Anyway, it was Incinerate, Gorgasm, and Septical Gorge, which was a sick fucking lineup, you know. And I was looking forward to that forever, and you know he never would tell me what we had coming up or whatever. So all of a sudden, I'm thinking I'm just gonna quit. I'm just gonna do that tour, and then hear about Summer Slaughter, so now I gotta make a choice. I'm like, fuck, gotta do Summer Slaughter, and I'm thinking that'll be it. You know, I'll do Summer Slaughter. And I can't take it anymore. I'm losing my mind. I had lost my mind before I even got there. Just been through so much shit, and I remember when I played Dallas. I ran into Eric Park from Devourment at the time. He was the drummer. And if you've been following along, he's in several episodes. A lot of history with this guy, one of my best friends. And he goes, because they were, like, Devourment got signed to Relapse around that time. So he's like, hey, man, we're going on tour with Cannibal Corpse. I'm like, oh, shit, I'm so stoked for you. So it's like, we're both just kind of living our dream. And it was a big, like, yay moment for both of us. And I go back, and I'm like I said, I'm thinking I'm just mentally shot from all this shit. Come to find out, we're on tour with Cannibal Corpse, and I'm like, oh shit, well that's fucking cool. And Dying Fetus, I'm like, whoa. And Devourment, I'm like, oh shit, I'm on the tour that he was talking about. He didn't even know that we were going to be touring together yet. So like that was insane because like I really felt alone. You know, I moved from home. I'm dealing with all this stuff. I'm broke as shit, hungry all the time, living out of a suitcase, just all my eggs in this basket. Some nights are great. Some nights are awful. Most nights are just whatever, you know. I'm surviving. I don't need much to survive. And I was somewhat living my dream. It just was uncomfortable. And so to have one of my best friends now along the ride was like, dude, and we're on tour with Cannibal Corpse, which is just fucking epic as hell. Lots of memories also. I just got to kind of pull it whole throughout the whole thing because I got a lot to tell here. But I ended up on that first show. I remember seeing Eric on I heard him coming up. He was bringing his drums up. You had to go up the stairs. It's one of those venues. So he's bringing his drums up, and I'm like, I'm just waiting for him. And he opens the door, and we're like, yeah. And it was like just a great moment, dude. And so not long after, Tony's like, oh, you're friends with the opening band, huh? You should see if you can use his drum set. I'm like, fuck. In my head, I'm like, that would be cool, but man, I don't want to fucking ask him that. But it wasn't just Tony. It was like the tour manager and sound guy. They're like, yeah, if you could just share kits, that'd be great. I'm like, fuck. All right, so ask him. He says it's cool. So we just kind of devise a plan where I'll help him set up throughout the tour, and I'll use his kit, which was totally epic, you know. He's endorsed by Trick, has a beautiful drum set. So yeah, I got to use his shit for majority of the time, and we would always be setting up, and Cannibal Corpse would be sound checking, and they always sound check, at least this time, with Unleashing the Bloodthirsty, which happens to be my favorite song by them and Eric's. So it was just like so epic for us. We talk about it all the time, how cool it was to just like every day for a month hear, you know, fucking Unleashing the Bloodthirsty. So even though I'm kind of a whiner on a lot of this stuff, you know, it's just because I'm talking about the shitty stuff. My dog just ran up in here. But it wasn't all bad. You know, I was chasing my dream and I was living it at the time. But it just, you know, takes sacrifice. So, all right, let me take a small break for a second. This is Jilly. She's very ugly and stinky and stained. And she breathes with a wheeze. I can't get her to do it. Anyway, I love her. Okay, and we are back. So, honestly, I don't have too many, like, I just can't really remember. It's just been so long. It's been 13 years. I can't remember like so much of the drama that was going on, but I just know that I was stoked to have Eric and all the environment. You know, Chris, Ruben was on guitar at the time. Mike Majewski. It was like the lineup that I was used to. So it was just fantastic time for me in that right. But let's see here. So Dying Fetus. So we're on tour with Dying Fetus as well. I had met Trey, Sensei Trey, as I call him. In the beginning, when I first joined Vital, we did that Planetary Depravity tour. And so Trey was doing double strokes then. And it was kind of how everybody's doing it now, where it's almost like a buzz roll or something. And it blew my mind. I was so jealous. I kept hearing him do it. And my double bass just kind of sucked at the time. I had shitty pedals too. And I really wanted his feet. So we're touring again. And so he's teaching me how to do them. And it took me almost 10 years really to get better at them. And I realized you just got to have good pedals and good triggers and a good trigger. You know, you got to have good gear really to make those work pretty well. But yeah, he definitely helped me out throughout that tour. I remember there was a handful of times I'd step aside and he'd kind of work with me a little bit. So I'm definitely Trey, man, he is awesome. Like he deserves so much respect. He's still grinding. You know, I've raised a family since then. He's been touring his ass off the whole fucking time. Bad motherfucker, dude. Let's see what else we got here. All right. So this is where shit starts getting juicy. And once again, instead of building it all up, I just kind of need you to, I hope you guys have been following along, but I've left home, family's on drugs, all my stuff got stolen, you know, drums stolen, grandma who raised me, she's dying, got stranded in Germany, left alone for 3 or 4 days, no money, no nothing, all alone. Just been packing all this kind of stuff in, leave home to join my favorite band, ends up being not as great on paper, you know, or in real life as it is on paper. Still though, you know, I'm kind of lived a rough life. I'm pretty good at just taking shit. I'm like very strong-minded from like the kung fu and all that shit. I'm living the band. Even though things are shitty, I almost just I like having stories, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, at this point in my life, I was cracking. I wasn't sane anymore. I was really like I said, I just really felt alone. And even though looking back, I'm like 23, I'm like, man, I was just a baby, but I didn't know what was next at that point. So things have been building. I remember, and this is one of the kind of more fucked up things of all my shit. But on the beginning of that tour, I don't know where it was at. It doesn't matter, but I go walking. I don't know if I was getting beer or whatever, but I walked to the convenience store to just get fucking snacks or whatever the fuck I was getting. And as I'm walking, there's this guy on a bike. He's coming this way. I'm walking that way. Street's this way. And as he's coming, I can see I think it was like a Ford Ranger type truck, you know, cruising. And it's like the way I could just kind of see it happening in slow-mo. As he's coming up to me, I can see that truck like, you know, and I just was such a mess. I was definitely psychotic and just putting up with so much stuff. I thought I was just going to snap. Every day I'm like kind of, you know, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I'm a crazy man at this point. There's no secret, or I don't have any problem admitting that I was like fucking crazy from this point and then for the next like 5 or 6 years, honestly. But anywho, dude's riding his bike. I see the truck. In my head, I go, I'm going to kick that dude in front of the truck. Because, no, it's fucks up to say it out loud. But yeah, about to kick the dude in front of the truck. I even kind of make like the stance for a side kick. And then just like all the millions of other times, something on my shoulders like, you know, no matter how weird you're feeling in the moment, that's going to define the rest of your life. So I didn't do it. He saw me make the move though, and the bike kind of wobbled. And I was like, man, That's kind of one of the main moments in life where I was like, I need to fucking chill the fuck out. And then I remember coming back to the hotel and Dying Fetus was on the balcony. I'm like, oh shit, because we're about to start the tour at the same time. We happen to get the same hotel, I guess. So yeah, that's how kind of dark things are. You know, I'm pretty much ready to snap. I don't have much to live for at this point. I've just the only way I can see this ending is like by me snapping, you know. And everyone around me knows it too, like as far as my homies. So Devourment was doing a good job of keeping me chill. But this one day, it was in Kentucky, I'm pretty certain. Tony had something wrong with his guitar where he was like feeding back a lot. I don't know what was going on. But from the Mexico tour, like the whole time I was in the band, apparently I was playing the beginning of Icons of Evil wrong. There was a drum fill I was missing or something. So the day before, we get in this big argument about this drum fill. And I'm like, okay, you know, slow-mo, real, like right here. That's what you're talking about, right? Yep. So I remember on that day, because that's the first song we opened with, looking at him doing the drum fill. The whole set plays out, and I actually remember feeling like, dude, that set went great. Like, and I never feel like I played great, you know. But I felt like everything was smooth. There was no like major hiccups. I didn't feel like I was struggling too much, you know. So like, I'm like, for a change, like almost never. But I'm getting off stage going, hell yeah, you know. And I go, and I remember in the beginning, while the sample was going, I want to say his amp was going like, or, you know, feeding back. So we're getting off stage. I'm breaking my set down. I see him. I go, basically, what's up with your guitar or whatever, you know? And he snaps on me hard. You didn't do the fucking drum fill. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. I'm tired of fucking telling you. And it's like, there's the guardrail to my left, like the whole crowd. So everyone's hearing him just like, you didn't do the shit. I'm tired of fucking telling you. You can't hang. Fucking get the fuck out of here. Among other things. He was like, his teeth were clacking about a lot of stuff. I remember being in shock and then getting really angry. And it was like these Wuhan symbols, or the one I was holding was, so if you know what they are, they're really light. They're almost like aluminum. But if you were to hit someone in the face, you know, whack like a ninja star or whatever, it wouldn't be good. So I'm taking the nut off of the symbol. He's talking shit. I'm kind of, I'll glance over at the crowd. They're kind of shocked. I'm getting super mad, and I'm starting to go like, I'm about to whack him right in his teeth with this symbol. I'm just gonna play it cool. Yeah, man. Yep. Bam. You know, and then I can feel like just the darkness in me, like, yeah, I'm with the fucking, not just do that, but you know, attack him afterwards. You know, I'm pretty much like, this is it. But once again, it's not the time. My little angel or demon or whoever's talking to me is like, just don't, you know, I knew deep down, I don't want this to define the rest of my life. I guess, I don't know. Obviously, it's not a good idea to murder somebody or attempt to murder anybody. But once again, if you don't know who I'm talking about, this dude's big and scary and would kick my ass pretty much 10 out of 10 times unless I can catch him off guard with something fucked up. And that's the only way I would ever fight this dude, would be completely unfair. And like I said, I'm kind of just crazy at this point. So he ends up kind of turning his back and walking away. And I'm like, all right. And so now I'm just really packing. I'm fucking pissed. I'm so fucking mad. So I remember I punched this metal door thing, and then I turn, and there's like the green room for like vital, devourment, fetus, and corpse or something like that. I don't know. 2 different green rooms. And I remember I headbutt a hole through the wall, like boom. And there's Brian. I can't think of his last name, but it's Cannibal Corpse's like stage hand. So I headbutt through the wall, and the first person I see is him going, really? You know, I'm like, God damn it. So I go and I ended up like elbowing another hole in the wall, covered it with a flyer, and just really was like venting to the guys like, this is fucking it, blah blah blah, fucking done. I don't remember how many. Do I have that? I don't know where that tag is, so I don't know how many shows were left after that. But definitely, I was like, this is the last tour, 100%. And so John Haidt was on guitar, and he had met some chick previously in like Seattle or whatever. And so at this point, he's done. He goes, I'm just gonna move back to wherever the fuck with this chick. And so he tells Tony on that tour his plan. Like, hey, this is my last tour. Tony freaks out. As far as we know, we don't have any more tours left. Like, this is kind of the end of the run. I'm planning on going back home. He's, you know. So yeah, we're on tour. Let's see here. I've lost my shit. Kind of drawing a blank on a lot of the stuff, so I'm just gonna say that I remember we played in New York. There's lots of memories from the show. I guess nothing necessarily worth mentioning, except at the end of it, I got this bottle of water that had 2 hits of acid in it. So I'm like, yeah, after this tour, I'm gonna take this acid. So we ended the tour, and this was in North Carolina, and I remember that because Gator, the bass player, was in Asheville. So we play the last show, I take the acid, I'm watching Cannibal Corpse, super intense. Like every riff is like vibrating and shit. And I'm just like every time it's just like dun, 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 dun. I'm like, fuck, I can feel it just shaking. I'm grabbing my belt, just like, fuck. You're not supposed to pit in this venue, so like kids are getting beat up by the security guards. So show ends, and I remember going on Cannibal Corpse's tour bus and tripping balls. I'm like, man, it's kind of crazy. And they're talking about how good the tour went, and you know, we should do it again, like in Europe though. And we're just kind of talking business, whatever. I remember seeing Eric over to the left, and he's just smiling. He's so happy, and we're just like, this is like a big moment for us. We're like, man, we're fucking hanging out with Corpse on their bus, you know. So we ended up going back to Gator's house, and I remember, like I said, I'm still tripping, and I go and I lay down, and I'm sitting right in front of this big screen TV. I have no idea what's on this, you know, what's about to play. It's just the beginning of this movie. It starts to play, ends up being a Last House on the Left, which is like super violent. And I'm like, dude, I was just so into it. It's one of the main times in my life where I was like just sucked into this fucking movie. So anywho, so that tour ends. So as this is where it starts getting kind of crazy. So at that point, I ended up having somewhere on that tour, I think, I lost my passport again. Like I left it in the hotel in the previous city, and then we called back and they said they didn't find it. And so here we go again. I didn't have a passport. Also, John Haidt has quit. This is his last tour. So towards the end, Tony goes, hey, we're going to do this headlining tour here in like 2 weeks after Corpse. And we're like, what? Nobody wanted to do that. So now he's left hanging with that as far as having a lead guitarist, but he can always hire Taylor, possibly, you know, that's always an option. And then after that, there's Columbia. So we're headlining this huge fest in Columbia, and we didn't know anything about it. He just sprung it on us. No guitarist now. I thought I was going home. I've already like lost my shit numerous times. I've got to go home. But you know what? Guess what? I didn't go home. So on that last day of Cannibal Corpse, Devourment's going back to Dallas. I could have just hopped in the van with Devourment and came back home. But I didn't. Even with all of the bullshit, I still went back to Rhode Island, tried to take care of my passport. I had to get money sent to me from random people. Tried to do this headline tour, do this Columbia thing. So I go back, and this is a little confusing. So, so I get money sent to me. I remember there was 50 more bucks Western Union that I needed to have the full amount to get my passport taken care of, because it's like 250 bucks or something like that. I had to take a bus from Pawtucket, Rhode Island to Boston to get this taken care of. I was on a deadline. I was like $50 short. I needed a ride to a Western Union to get this $50. Scott wouldn't give me a ride. He said his tags were expired. He would drive to work. He would drive wherever he needed to go, but he wouldn't drive me to do this, and it was too far for me to walk. Tony hadn't picked up my phone calls for like 2 weeks. He wouldn't drive me. So I really just need to start this off by saying Tony didn't know the guitarist was going to quit. He was in no position to really hire someone new financially. He was as spent as any of us, and he did not want to help me out to make this all happen, because I'll finish the story. But he never answered my shit. Like, I was texting him for weeks. He never helped. So now I'm $50 short, and I'm thinking I could do like I did when I was in Germany and just get like a temporary passport. Instead of getting the full replacement, I'll get a temporary. I'll get through this whole Colombia thing. After that, I'll fix it fully. So I go to Boston. I hang out with some homies. I get up early. I go to the passport agency. And that only works if you're in another country, but you're in this country. So you have to do it fully. You can't do temporary unless it's emergency. So she says, but you have this much time. Just go, get the money. So I'm like $50 short. I go to, I call my friend. She was running a shirt printing company. I'm like, hey, I really need you to send me that $50 from Western Union to MoneyGram, because there's no Western Union around this place in Boston. She shuts her shop down, sends the money. I go to MoneyGram. They need a valid ID to give me the money. I have a passport with a hole in it. That's all I have for my ID. It's not valid, though. They won't give me the money. So then I call her back to try and get her to do something else. I don't even remember what it was. Maybe just send some kind of code or something. And she's like, yo, I can't do it. I've already shut my shop down and went back. So I remember going and writing Andreas, the manager for South America, the crazy dude I mentioned earlier when we were in Mexico. This dude's like a martial artist, crazy Colombian, not to be fucked with. I know he's crazy because I hung out with him and like we got along great. So I heard all those stories and shit. I'm not trying to have fucking beef with this dude. But now he's furious with me because as far as he's concerned, it's my fault. And I'm not trying to like, for some reason, I still wasn't saying, dude, Tony's not going to do it anyway. He's just like, well, that's his homie anyway. So yeah, he's, as far as he's concerned, he's like, go panhandle $50. I'm going to fucking kill you if you fucking cause this shit to cancel or whatever. And I end up not doing it. And so now this dude's like threatening me and shit. So now I'm out of time. So I go back home to Pawtucket. I have 150, like $200 or something. I think I ended up, I don't know what happened. I actually think I spent that money. I hung out with that girl, Annie Shreds or whatever. She's super famous now. Guitar player. It was like her and her friend Eden. They were going to Berkeley. So I think I just hung out and like bought a sack and just kind of hung out and whatever. Came back and my dad, surprisingly, sent me bus ticket money, like $200. Check. So yeah, my dad sends me $200. At this point, I'm like done, and I try to get Scott to run me up to the bus station. He doesn't. So I get all my suitcases. I'm walking. It's cold. I find a buggy. I put my suitcases in the buggy. I go to the city bus station, take a bus to the Greyhound station, and take a Greyhound back home. So that was basically it, man. Never talked to any of these motherfuckers again, honestly, except for Scott. Scott hit me up trying to get me to do the next tour, which was Origin and Hate Eternal. Origin's like really like my favorite band. And I said $150 a show, I'll do it. I'll use my own drums and my own car. Because I had a girlfriend with a car. I'm like, use my girlfriend's car, I'll use my own drums. Because he was always giving me shit about not having my own drums. But that's what he wanted. He wanted to use his drums. So he's giving me shit for a year, almost 2. Now I'm like, $150. I'll use all my own shit. And he's like, fuck that. And I was like, well, fuck you then. So that was that. Never fucked with him again. Thought we would have squashed it by now. I mean, I guess I've almost written him many times, just didn't. It is what it is. At this point, I'm not even that mad. I've raised a family at this point, and I'm not bitter. It's good stories. I'm happy to have a bunch of interesting stories to tell people. So that's going to wrap up this episode. Thanks for joining me. I love you guys. Please like, subscribe, share. Obviously, I don't want to punch you in your fucking face when I see you again. If I find out you're not supporting my shit and you're watching my channel, but you're not liking, subscribing to my stuff, I will fuck you up. Okay? So just do yourself a favor, hit the bell, do all that kind of shit, because I will literally sling you to the fucking ground, snap your goddamn arm, watch the bone just protrude through the fucking flesh, bang your head against the fucking concrete until you're fucking not breathing anymore. All right? I'll keep fucking doing it even after you're fucking dead. Because I like the sound of that wet fucking smack on the fucking concrete as I bash your fucking skull in. Okay? It makes me feel fucking good. So don't maybe fucking do that shit to you. Till next time. I love you.